Leora walked slowly through the empty streets of her home city. The tall towers of her alien world loomed above her, shining faintly in the pale sunlight. But the city, once full of life and laughter, felt hollow now. Everywhere she looked, she saw reminders of her loss. Shops closed, playgrounds abandoned, and people who whispered in fear about raids that had torn families apart. Her heart ached every time she thought of Elira, her little daughter. She had been only 6 when she disappeared. That day, Leora had been busy in the market, trading goods with a visiting merchant. She remembered the way Elira had waved at her, her small hand reaching up as if to hold Leora's. And then, nothing. The raiders came like shadows, swift and merciless, carrying children and women away. Leora had tried to stop them, but she was only one person. Her screams filled the air, but no one came to help. When the chaos ended, Elira was gone. Years had passed since that day, but the pain never left her. Leora had searched everywhere she could, sending messages to nearby planets, asking for help from other alien races, and even appealing to human colonies known for their rescue operations. But nothing had come. Every day she thought her daughter was lost forever. Every night she dreamed of Elira's smile, of her laugh echoing through their home. The world had changed since the raids. Leora's people lived in constant fear. Some had left their cities, fleeing to remote regions where raiders could not find them. Others tried to rebuild, but the scars of the attacks remained, both in the cities and in hearts. Leora stayed because she could not leave. She could not abandon hope completely, even if hope had become a fragile thread she feared would break at any moment. Leora's days had grown routine. She tended a small garden outside her home, grew simple crops, and spoke little to the neighbors, who still remained. Each day she looked toward the horizon, as if the answer to her prayers might appear from the endless sky. And sometimes she thought she saw shapes in the clouds, shapes that reminded her of Elira's small figure running toward her. But every time she blinked, they disappeared. One morning, the sky above the city was unusually clear. The pale sunlight glinted off the silver towers, casting long shadows across the streets. Leora stood at the edge of the marketplace, staring toward the stars. Something unusual caught her eye, a small, distant glint that moved against the sky. At first, she thought it was a reflection of the sun, a trick of her tired mind. But it moved with purpose, cutting through the clouds as it approached. It was a ship, a human ship. Leora's breath caught in her throat. Humans were rare visitors here. They were known for their courage, their skill in space travel, and, more importantly, their habit of helping those in need. Rumors had circulated for years, humans rescuing kidnapped children, humans facing dangerous raiders and winning. But she had never met one, never thought she would. The ship descended slowly, its engines quiet yet powerful. People in the city began to gather, whispering in amazement. Leora's heart pounded in her chest. She stepped forward, unable to stop herself. Something deep inside told her this was different. This was not just another stranger from a distant world. This could be hope. The ship's landing gears touched the ground with a soft thud. A hatch opened, and a human emerged. He was tall, strong, and carried himself with calm confidence. But what caught Leora's eyes, what made her heart skip a beat, was the small child in his arms. The child was wrapped in a soft blanket, her small face barely visible, but something about her felt familiar. Leora's knees trembled. She took a hesitant step forward. The human noticed her and gave a small, polite nod. His voice was calm, but carried a weight of experience. "This child. I found her in a dangerous zone," the human said, holding her out slightly so she could see. "She was alone and in need of help. I brought her here safely. Leora's eyes filled with tears. Her hands shook as she reached toward the child, her mind screaming with disbelief. Could it be? Could this really be Elira? After so many years of darkness, could she have her daughter back in her arms? The crowd watched silently. Some whispered about the human's bravery, others about the miracle of the child's return. Leora could hear nothing but her own heartbeat. She knelt slowly, her arms outstretched, her voice barely a whisper. Elira, is it you? The child stirred slightly, her eyes fluttering open. Leora gasped. The eyes, the shape of the face, the small scar above her eyebrow. Everything matched her memories. She could not speak, could not move. Only tears ran down her cheeks. The human watched silently, giving her a moment, understanding that some things needed no words. He had done his part. Now it was time for a mother and daughter to find each other again. Leora finally took the child into her arms. She held her close, feeling the small weight of her daughter, the warmth of her life against her chest. Elira's eyes opened fully, and she looked at her mother with a soft, questioning gaze. Recognition sparked slowly in her eyes, like a fragile flame that had been waiting for years to burn again. Leora pressed her forehead against Elira's, whispering words she had dreamed of saying for years. I thought I lost you forever, but here you are. Elira blinked and a tiny smile appeared on her lips. Leora felt a joy she had never imagined possible. After years of fear, after years of longing, she had her daughter back. But in the back of her mind, Leora knew this reunion was only the beginning. The galaxy was not safe. The raiders who had taken Elira could still be out there, waiting. And the human who had saved her daughter. Well, humans were brave, but even they could face danger. Still, for the first time in years, Leora felt hope. And for now, that hope was enough. The air around Leora seemed to hum with tension and hope. She held Elira close, feeling the child's small body pressed against her chest. For years, she had imagined this moment, but now that it was here, it was more overwhelming than she had ever dreamed. Her arms trembled as she stroked Elira's hair, whispering softly. The human, Commander Jason, as he had introduced himself, stood a few steps away. He watched quietly, giving them space, but his sharp eyes scanned the surroundings. Constantly, Leora noticed the subtle readiness in his posture, the way he held himself as if he expected danger at any moment. Is she safe? Leora finally asked, her voice trembling. She is, Jason replied firmly. I brought her out of the raiders. Zone alive. I made sure no one followed us. Leora looked at him, searching for answers. How did you find her? I thought she was gone forever. Jason stepped closer, keeping his eyes on the crowd, but speaking gently. I track children taken in conflicts. Humans have systems to find missing kids across the galaxy. She was hidden in a camp far from your city, guarded by raiders who thought no one would come for her. I could not leave her there. Leora's heart raced. Years of searching, of endless despair, had led to this moment, and it had come because of a human. She could hardly believe it. Elira stirred in her arms, blinking slowly. Her gaze met Leora's, and for the first time in years, recognition flickered in her eyes. She reached up a small hand, touching her mother's cheek. Mom? The voice was soft, unsure, but it carried a hint of memory. Leora's tears fell freely. She pressed her forehead against her daughter's. Yes, it's me. I'm here. I never stopped looking for you. Around them, the crowd remained silent, watching the reunion unfold. The aliens whispered among themselves, some in awe of the human's bravery, others in quiet envy of Leora's long-awaited miracle. Humans were rare visitors, and their courage was well known. Many here had heard stories, but few had witnessed it personally. Jason finally stepped forward, holding his hands out to show he meant no harm. "She needs rest," he said calmly. "She has been through a lot. The journey here was long, and she may be scared." Leora nodded, realizing the human was right. Elira had been taken from her world, kept in captivity, and faced dangers she could not even imagine. The thought made Leora's chest tighten with anger, but also with gratitude. Without this human, Elira might never have returned. Jason gestured toward his ship. "I can help her recover. We can make sure she is safe before returning her to your home." Leora hesitated. Her instincts as a mother told her to protect her child herself, to never let anyone else take her. But something in Jason's calm, confident presence reassured her. She could see the truth in his eyes. He had risked much to bring Elira back. She finally spoke, her voice soft but firm. "Then let us go. I will stay with her. She is my daughter, and I need to be by her side." Jason nodded. "Of course. I will help you both, and we must leave soon. The raiders may realize she is missing and try to come after her." The mention of danger made Leora shiver. After years of safety in the city, after years of grief, the idea that threats still lingered was frightening. But she could not let fear control her. Not now. Not when Elira was alive and in her arms. Together, they moved toward the ship. The crowd parted, some bowing slightly to Jason in respect, others simply staring in wonder. Humans had a reputation. Across galaxies, they were known for bravery, skill, and the unusual ability to face danger head-on. Leora felt a strange mix of awe and gratitude. Inside the ship, Jason helped Elira settle onto a soft seat, covering her with a warm blanket. The interior was unlike anything Leora had seen. Humans had advanced technology, yet it was simple and practical. Screens displayed star maps, routes, and signals, and gentle lights filled the cabin without glaring. Elira's eyes widened as she looked around, curiosity slowly replacing fear. She is very brave," Jason said quietly, more to himself than to anyone else. "She survived when many would not." Leora's heart swelled with pride. "She is my daughter," she said simply. "She has always been brave." Jason nodded, understanding more than she expected. Humans recognized courage, not just in themselves, but in others. "Bravery is a gift," he said, "and sometimes it needs protection until the person can use it fully." Leora looked at him, realizing how much had changed since humans arrived in this galaxy. They were not just warriors. They were protectors, rescuers, allies. And now, one had brought her daughter back to her. As the ship prepared to leave the city, a faint alert sounded on Jason's console. His expression hardened. "We're not alone. Sensors show movement nearby. Raiders may be tracking us." Leora felt fear rise again, sharp and sudden, but she did not let it control her. She held Elira close and whispered, "It's okay, my child. We will face this together." Jason glanced at her, then at the controls. "We will need to move quickly. The faster we leave, the safer she will be." The ship lifted off, rising above the city and heading toward the stars. Leora looked out the window, seeing the familiar towers shrink below them. Her mind swirled with emotions: joy, fear, relief, and hope. For the first time in years, she felt that hope was real. And for the first time, she realized that humans were not just visitors. They were saviors in a galaxy full of danger. Elira leaned against her mother, slowly relaxing as the ship moved through space. Leora's heart ached with love and gratitude. They were safe, for now. But the journey ahead would be long, and dangers awaited them. Still, she knew one thing with certainty: no matter what challenges came, she would never let her daughter go again. And for the first time in years, she allowed herself to believe that Elira's return was only the beginning of something greater, a future where hope could survive, even in the darkest corners of the galaxy. The ship moved quietly through space, gliding past shimmering stars and distant planets. Leora sat close to Elira, her hands gently brushing the child's hair. Elira was asleep now, her small chest rising and falling with each breath, and Leora's heart ached with both relief and fear. Relief that her daughter was alive, and fear of what dangers might still follow them. Jason sat across from them, monitoring the ship's instruments. He rarely spoke, but his presence was steady and reassuring. Leora had begun to notice how humans had a way of staying calm in the face of danger, a way that made those around them feel safe. Hours passed in silence. Leora kept her eyes on Elira, studying every detail: the shape of her eyes, the curve of her lips, the small scar above her eyebrow. Each feature brought back memories from years ago, memories she had held on to desperately. When Elira stirred and opened her eyes, Leora's heart leaped. The child blinked slowly, looking around the cabin as if trying to remember where she was. Then her gaze fell on Leora. Recognition flickered in her eyes, faint but undeniable. "Mom," Elira whispered, her voice small and unsure. Leora pressed her hands to her daughter's cheeks, tears welling in her eyes. "Yes, it's me, Elira. It's really me. I've been looking for you all these years." The child blinked again, uncertainty in her eyes. She reached out a tiny hand, hesitating before touching Leora's face. I remember a little," she said softly. Leora felt a mixture of joy and sorrow. She was overjoyed that Elira remembered something, anything. But she also knew that years of fear and isolation could leave deep scars. She held her daughter tighter. "It's okay. You're safe now. I will never let anything happen to you again." Jason watched them quietly. Children like her can carry memories from long ago, even through trauma, he said softly. "It may take time for her to fully trust and remember everything. Be patient." Leora nodded, grateful for his advice. Humans had a strange way of understanding resilience, even in alien species. Their ability to adapt and face danger fascinated her. She could see why so many in the galaxy spoke of humans with respect. As Elira relaxed slightly, Leora's mind drifted back to the day she had disappeared. She remembered the marketplace, the raiders, and the helplessness she had felt. She remembered the promises she had whispered to herself, that she would find her daughter no matter what. And now, against all odds, that promise had been fulfilled. Yet, doubt lingered in her heart. Could this really be Elira? Could the years of captivity have changed her? Leora's fingers brushed the small scar on Elira's forehead, the scar she had left when Elira had fallen while learning to walk. It was the same. It had to be her. But still, the fear of deception lingered. Jason noticed her hesitation. "It's natural to doubt," he said. "You've been through a lot. But look at her closely. The features, the expressions. There's no mistake. She is your daughter." Leora studied Elira's face, memorizing every detail. The shape of her nose, the curve of her smile, the small scar. Each one confirmed what her heart had already known. Still, she spoke gently, almost as if testing reality. "Elira, can you tell me, do you remember me?" Elira thought for a moment, her small brows furrowing in concentration. Then slowly, a tiny smile appeared. "Yes, you held me, and I remember your voice," she said softly. Tears flowed freely down Leora's cheeks. She pressed, her forehead against her daughter's. "I never stopped looking for you," she whispered. "I never gave up hope." The human, Jason, stood quietly in the corner, watching their reunion with quiet satisfaction. Humans believed in action, in facing impossible odds, and in protecting those who could not protect themselves. He had risked much to bring Elira back, and now he felt a sense of fulfillment in seeing a mother reunited with her child. Suddenly, a warning beep echoed through the cabin. Jason's expression hardened. "Sensors are picking up something," he said. "There may be ships approaching us. Raiders or someone else tracking her." Leora stiffened, fear tightening in her chest. She had hoped the reunion would be peaceful, at least for now. But danger had a way of following them, just as it had the day Elira disappeared. She held her daughter closer. Jason moved to the controls, his hands steady and precise. "We need to stay calm and act quickly. Elira must not see fear in us. It could scare her." Leora nodded, trying to focus on her daughter. Elira had begun to relax again, clutching her mother's arm as if sensing the tension. Leora whispered softly, "It's okay, my little one. We are together, and nothing will hurt us." Jason adjusted the ship's course, moving them away from the approaching signals. The stars outside streaked past as the ship accelerated. Leora watched Elira's face, studying her every expression. The child seemed to understand that they were safe with her mother, and that tiny realization brought a surge of hope to Leora's heart. Hours passed as they traveled through space. Leora held Elira, telling her small stories from their world, stories of friends, of laughter, of home. Elira listened quietly, her eyes brightening with each memory. Slowly, she began to speak more, forming small sentences that confirmed she truly remembered her life before the capture. Jason watched from across the cabin, impressed by human and alien resilience. Humans had a way of surviving, of rescuing, and of helping others adapt. Leora had never imagined that a human would play such a vital role in her life. Yet here he was, bridging the gap between species and bringing hope to a mother who had almost given up. As Elira's laughter finally returned in small, cautious bursts, Leora felt a weight lift from her heart. She knew that recovery would take time, that memories might return slowly, and that dangers were still ahead. But for the first time in years, she felt hope, pure and unshakable. She glanced at Jason, silently acknowledging his role in this miracle. Humans were strong, brave, and compassionate, and their presence in the galaxy was a force that could change destinies. And as the ship sailed onward through the endless stars, Leora held Elira close, whispering promises she had kept through years of despair, that she would protect her, love her, and never let her go again. The journey ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear. This reunion was only the beginning of a new chapter for both mother and daughter, and the human who had brought them together would play a part in the story that was just unfolding. The stars outside the ship streaked past as Leora clutched Elira close. The child had begun to relax after hours of soft stories and gentle words, but tension still lingered in the cabin. Leora could feel it in Jason's steady movements at the controls, in the quiet beeps of the sensors, and in the subtle tightening of her own chest. Jason's eyes scanned the readings on his screens. "We have multiple contacts ahead," he said, his voice calm but firm. "Not all of them are raiders, but some may be scouts. We need to stay alert." Leora nodded. Fear still gripped her, but she refused to show it. Elira was safe in her arms, and that was all that mattered. She whispered softly, brushing the child's hair back. "Do you feel safe with me, Elira?" The child nodded slowly. "Yes, with you." "That's good," Leora said, her voice steady despite the fear she felt. "We will face whatever comes together." Jason turned toward her briefly. The best way to protect her is to move quickly. I need to take evasive action if the scouts get closer. Leora looked at him, a mixture of awe and gratitude in her eyes. Humans had a way of staying calm in dangerous situations that seemed impossible. They were fearless, determined, and willing to take risks to help others. She had already seen it once when Jason had rescued Elira, and now she saw it again as he prepared to face potential danger. The ship dipped slightly, weaving through a field of asteroids to avoid detection. The stars seemed to shift around them, creating a dizzying pattern of light and shadow. Leora held Elira tighter, murmuring reassurances. "Nothing will hurt us. You are safe with me." Elira clung to her mother's arm. "Will they catch us?" she asked softly, her small voice trembling. "They may try," Leora admitted, "but we will not let them. We are together, and together we are strong." Jason adjusted the controls again, guiding the ship with careful precision. "We have a few minutes before they get close," he said. "I suggest we use that time to plan. Elira, stay close to your mother and do not be afraid. You are safe with us." Leora watched the child's eyes, which were wide with a mixture of fear and curiosity. She whispered softly, telling Elira small stories about their home, about friends and laughter, about everything that had once been normal. Slowly, the child's breathing steadied and she began to trust the safety of her mother's arms. The ship's sensors beeped again, sharper this time. Jason's expression tightened. "They've split into smaller groups. Some are trying to flank us. We need to move fast and be unpredictable." Leora's hands shook slightly, but she forced herself to stay calm. She could not let fear show in front of Elira. "We can do this," she said quietly. "We have to." Jason nodded. "Good. I will take the lead. But you both must be ready for anything. Stay close, trust me, and trust each other." As the ship navigated through space, sudden lights appeared on the radar, small, fast ships approaching from multiple directions. Jason's fingers moved quickly across the controls, adjusting speed, trajectory, and shields. The ship dipped, weaved, and dodged through the asteroid field, avoiding collision while keeping Elira safe. Leora held her daughter tightly, whispering calming words. "See, my little one? Nothing can hurt us. We are together, and that makes us strong." Elira nodded, gripping her mother's arm. "I trust you," she whispered. The chase continued for what felt like hours. Jason explained calmly to Leora that humans had strategies to evade enemies, using both speed and intelligence rather than just force. Leora listened closely, amazed at the humans' ingenuity. Humans could think quickly, plan ahead, and take calculated risks that others might never attempt. Finally, after tense moments, Jason managed to lose the scouts. The small ships fell behind, unable to match the human ship's maneuvers. Leora breathed deeply, relief flooding through her. Elira had curled against her, exhausted but safe. Jason glanced at them. "We're safe for now," he said. "But the galaxy is vast. There may still be threats ahead. We must remain vigilant." Leora nodded, understanding the truth in his words. The journey would not be easy. The raiders who had once taken Elira were still out there, and the galaxy itself was full of dangers. But for the first time in years, Leora felt she could face those dangers. She had Elira in her arms, and she had humans like Jason who were willing to help. "Thank you," she said softly, looking at him. "For everything. For saving her. For protecting her. For bringing her back to me." Jason shook his head. "I did what anyone would do if they could. Humans believe in helping those who cannot help themselves. That is all." Leora smiled faintly, feeling hope growing in her chest. Humans were unlike anyone she had ever known. Brave, compassionate, and willing to face danger for the sake of others. They were a force that could change the course of lives, even entire worlds. As the ship moved farther from the asteroid field, Leora and Elira shared a quiet moment. The child rested her head against her mother's chest, finally letting herself relax fully. Leora stroked her hair, whispering softly about their home, about the stars, and about the promise of safety and love. Jason continued to monitor the ship, but he allowed them this time of peace. He had done his part in bringing Elira back and keeping them safe for now. The rest of the journey would be theirs to navigate, together. And as the stars stretched endlessly, outside the ship, Leora realized that this moment, this fragile, precious moment, was proof that even in a galaxy filled with danger, hope could survive. No matter what challenges lay ahead, she knew that Elira's return was the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter where love, courage, and the bravery of humans could make all the difference. The ship glided through the quiet darkness of space. Elira slept peacefully, her small body nestled against Leora's chest. The child's breathing was steady, and for the first time in years, Leora felt a sense of calm she had almost forgotten. The galaxy was dangerous, and threats still lingered, but for now, they were safe. Jason sat at the controls, eyes scanning the readings silently. The human's presence was a constant reminder of how far they had come. He had not only rescued Elira, but had also kept them out of danger, demonstrating a courage and intelligence that fascinated Leora. Humans, she thought, were truly remarkable beings. Leora looked down at her daughter, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "You've grown so much," she whispered. "I can't believe you're here with me." Elira stirred, blinking slowly. I remember you," she said softly, her voice small but steady. "I was scared, but I knew you were looking. For me." Tears filled Leora's eyes. "I never stopped. Not for a single moment." She pressed her forehead against her daughter's, feeling the warmth of life that had returned to her arms. Years of worry, grief, and despair seemed to fade, replaced by the powerful bond they had once shared. Jason's voice broke the quiet. "We need to be careful. There may still be raiders nearby. We should reach the safe zone before stopping." Leora nodded, understanding the truth in his words. The galaxy was vast, and safety was never guaranteed. But now, she was not alone. She had Elira, and she had Jason, a human who had risked everything to bring her daughter home. Together, they had a chance. As they traveled, Elira began to talk more. She shared small memories of her life before being taken, the garden they had tended together, the games she had played, and the stories her mother had told her. Leora listened, cherishing each word, each memory. The child's voice was like music, filling the empty spaces in her heart that had been hollow for years. Jason watched quietly, sensing the bond growing stronger. Humans believed in courage, yes, but they also believed in the power of hope and love. Leora and Elira were proof of that. Their reunion was not just a miracle of rescue, it was a testament to the strength of human compassion. Hours passed as the ship moved through space. Then the radar beeped sharply. Jason's expression hardened. "We have contacts approaching fast. Raider ships, they've tracked us again." Leora's heart pounded. Fear threatened to rise, but she held Elira tightly. "We can face them," she whispered, more to herself than to anyone else. "We are together." Jason adjusted the ship's course. "Stay calm. I will guide us. Elira, you stay close to your mother. Trust us, and we will be safe." The raider ships appeared on the sensors, fast, aggressive, and determined. Jason maneuvered the ship with precision, dodging attacks and weaving through asteroid belts. Leora clutched her daughter, whispering reassurances and stories of home. The child's small hands gripped her mother tightly, finding comfort in her presence. Hours of careful navigation finally brought them past the raiders' range. The ships fell behind, unable to catch up with the human vessel's speed and tactics. Leora breathed deeply, relief flooding through her. Elira nestled against her, exhausted but safe. Jason finally spoke, his voice calm but serious. "We are safe for now, but we must continue to a secure planet. There she can recover fully, and we can plan the next steps." Leora nodded. She looked at her daughter, whose eyes were finally bright with recognition and trust. "We will reach safety soon," she said softly, "and then we will rebuild our life." As they approached the secure planet, Leora could see forests, rivers, and mountains in the distance. It was beautiful, a stark contrast to the emptiness and danger they had faced. She felt hope rise in her heart. Elira had survived, and now they could begin again. Upon landing, Jason helped them off the ship. Leora held Elira close, guiding her through the fresh air and sunlight. The child's eyes widened at the beauty around her, the sights and sounds of life she had not experienced for years. Leora smiled, seeing her daughter's joy. This is home?" Elira asked softly. "Yes," Leora replied, her voice filled with emotion. "This is where we can be safe, where we can live again." Jason stepped aside, giving them space. "Humans are not just travelers," he said quietly. "We protect, we guide, and we help those in need. You both are safe because of that." Leora looked at him, gratitude shining in her eyes. "Thank you. For everything. For not giving up on her. For bringing her back to me." Jason shook his head. "It was not just me. It was the belief that people, humans and aliens alike, deserve a chance at life and hope. You and your daughter are proof that hope can survive, even in the darkest places." Elira stepped closer to her mother, her small hand brushing against Leora's. "Mom, can we stay here forever?" Leora knelt down, holding her daughter close. "Yes, my little one. We will be safe here. We will rebuild, and I will never leave your side again." The sun shone warmly on them, the breeze carrying the scent of forests and life. For the first time in years, Leora felt complete. Elira was alive, their bond stronger than ever, and the future stretched before them, full of possibilities. Jason watched them, silently proud. Humans had a way of changing lives, of bringing hope where it was almost gone. This was one of those moments. A reunion, a rescue, a promise kept. The galaxy was dangerous, but courage, love, and determination could create miracles. And as Leora held Elira, whispering promises and dreams for the future, she knew one thing clearly. No matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. Together they were strong. Together they were safe. Together they were ready for whatever the galaxy might bring. The planet below stretched wide and green, dotted with rivers that glittered in the sunlight. Leora held Elira's small hand, walking slowly across the soft grass. The air smelled of flowers and fresh water, a stark contrast to the cold metal and dangers of the ship they had left behind. For the first time in years, Leora felt the weight of fear lift from her chest, replaced by something she had almost forgotten: peace. Elira skipped ahead slightly, her laughter bright and free. "Mom, look at the river. Can we go there?" Leora smiled, her heart swelling. "Of course, my little one. Let's explore together." She followed, watching as her daughter's joy grew with each step. Each laugh was like music, healing the empty spaces in Leora's heart that had been hollow for so long. Jason walked behind them, carrying supplies from the ship. He kept a watchful eye on the surroundings, a natural instinct for caution. Humans had learned long ago that even safe places could hide danger. But he also allowed himself to enjoy this moment, seeing the mother and daughter reunited and thriving. "This planet is well protected," Jason said, Few raiders would dare approach here. You will be safe. Leora looked at him, gratitude shining in her eyes. We owe everything to you. You risked your life to bring her back to me. Jason shook his head. I only did what anyone should do. Humans help those who cannot help themselves. But seeing you two here, smiling and safe, that is enough. They walked toward a small village nearby, a settlement designed to shelter those who had been through war, raids, and other dangers of the galaxy. The buildings were simple but strong, made to withstand storms and attacks. People of different species lived together here, sharing resources, knowledge, and safety. Elira's eyes widened as she saw children playing in the open fields. Some were humans, others were aliens, all laughing and running freely. For the first time in years, she felt like she belonged. Leora knelt down beside her. Do you see them, Elira? She asked softly. You can play too. You are safe here. The child nodded, a small smile spreading across her face. I want to be like them. Leora hugged her tightly. You can be anything you want. You are strong, brave, and loved. And I will always be with you. Jason watched quietly, recognizing the subtle changes in both of them. Humans had a reputation for courage, yes, but they also believed in nurturing hope and strength in others. The reunion, the journey, and the escape had all shown that human determination could shape lives in ways nothing else could. As they reached the village, a group of aliens approached, offering help and food. They bowed slightly, acknowledging Leora and Elira, and welcomed them with smiles and gestures of kindness. It was a simple act, but it meant more than words could say. Leora felt tears prick at her eyes. Her daughter was finally among friends, in a place where she could be safe, happy, and grow. Jason helped them settle in a small home provided by the village. It was modest, but comfortable and secure. Elira explored cautiously, her curiosity renewed. She touched the walls, peeked out windows, and smiled at the bright colors and sounds. Leora followed, letting her daughter lead while keeping a watchful eye on her. That evening, as the sun set in shades of pink and gold, Leora sat with Elira outside their new home. They watched the stars appear in the sky, one by one, as night fell. The girl rested her head on her mother's shoulder, feeling the warmth and safety she had longed for. I was so scared when I was taken, Elira whispered. But I knew you would find me. Leora kissed her forehead. I promised I would, and I never stopped believing. No matter how far you were, I never gave up hope. Jason approached, standing a few steps away, letting the moment remain theirs. Humans don't always understand how strong hope can be, he said softly, but we know how to help it survive. Today is proof. Leora looked at him, gratitude filling her heart. You've changed our lives, she said quietly. I will never forget what you did. Jason smiled faintly. You don't need to. Just live your life fully, love each other, and stay strong. That is what matters. As night deepened, Elira finally drifted to sleep in her mother's arms. Leora held her tightly, whispering promises of protection, love, and adventure. She felt the bond between them grow stronger with each passing moment. Outside, the stars shone brightly. Leora knew that the galaxy was still dangerous, that threats could appear at any time, but for the first time, she felt prepared. Together with Elira, and with allies like Jason, they could face whatever came next. The village was peaceful now, full of laughter and life. Leora could see a future where Elira would grow safely, learn freely, and play without fear. She could imagine a life filled with hope, friendship, and love. And she could see herself standing strong beside her daughter, ready to protect her from anything that threatened them. Jason watched them one last time before returning to his ship. Humans had always ventured into the unknown, facing dangers others would not dare. Their courage, compassion, and determination had brought hope to a galaxy that had almost forgotten it. Today was a testament to that. A mother reunited with her daughter, and a child finally safe. As he prepared to leave, Jason looked back once more. Leora and Elira were together, smiling softly under the stars. That was all that mattered. Humans had shown the galaxy that courage and compassion could change destinies, and now these two lives would continue, full of hope and love, in a world where the darkness could no longer reach them. Leora whispered softly to Elira, feeling the warmth of her daughter against her chest. "We are safe now, my little one. And this is only the beginning of our new life." Elira smiled sleepily, resting her head against her mother. "Yes, our new life." And as the stars sparkled above them, Leora knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. The galaxy was vast, full of unknown dangers, but also full of hope. And together, mother and daughter were ready to embrace it. The future was theirs to shape, and for the first time in many years, it felt bright, limitless, and filled with promise.